All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
Oh yeah, back talking baseball with my man Gyiraszin. Huge day at the nation over here as well. Many of you probably were tuning in to the to the PGA show with Hoop and Tambo. We've been teasing a big announcement, the Shiptimizer. Gyiraszin, man, you need an optimizer to compete. If you play one team, you don't need an optimizer necessarily. I still like to look at optimizers, projections, see what the field's doing, etc. They're expensive though. There's no doubt about that. Now we have our own optimizer over here. In addition, with all the content, such a huge such a big add-on over here at the Nation. Very excited for it. We'll get into that in a little bit. Want to say hi to Gator Nation, Michael, Lone Wolf. Say hi to you. Very, very excited though. Had to bring out the Ship Nation hat, the rocket ship. Big day. Oh, and 2 weeks away from the 1-year launch at shipitnation.com. How you doing? Very excited times over here.
Man, can't complain. I mean, we get the big news about the Shiptimizer. I mean, that's pretty cool. It's just another tool, that we'll be able to use. And I've been playing a long time, like 2010 or 12. I think I came with the site when it came on, first about. But I mean, I learned early on, like you got to have optimizers. I mean, the human mind isn't going to be consistent enough to beat a computer. So, it's definitely something important, especially to some youngsters that are just getting into it. Like, dude, if you're going to be playing $50 a day and you can't afford an optimizer that costs you 20 or 30 a month, like you're just not thinking right, man. So I have a few. I mean, I like to see. It doesn't necessarily mean I always use them. A lot of times I do hand build, but you can kind of see the different optimizers, different selections, and if you pull a one off or whatever else, and it's great to have. So I'm excited to see how it's going to pan out. Now, some are absolutely user friendly, and some are terrible. Like it's like navigating through some kind of shit NASA would have. Like, and that's not necessarily cool. So I've heard all good things about this Shiptimizer. I'm looking forward to giving it a few test spins here and see how it works. But really, it's just how you use those things. Like you can adjust the different projections if you want. You can go with the projections that are in there. Just don't be the dummy that click. Well, I'm going to stack this and this and hit opto, because guess what? You'll probably end up tying somebody, because somebody else, especially if it's a widely used optimizer. So, but yeah, I'm excited, man. And hey, it's another great day up here in the Midwest, man. It's like 78 degrees, sun shining. I mean, it's just great here, mate. Like I said, it's time to drink some high noons. Had a little bit, kind of broke even yesterday, barely even, I should say. Didn't quite get there. Had a little bit of money come back to me. And hey, in the GPP world, sometimes you don't get shit back, as you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, hey, we're looking to bounce back a little bit. Got some action going here in the early slate. Hopefully, Chris Sale here can dominate here this afternoon, so that would help. I'm already up in the top 15 or so in the single entry thing I'm in. But yeah, looking forward to breaking this one down. We got 7 games here starting at 6:30, and hey, kudos to DraftKings. At least you guys can get it right. Like FanDuel, the hell you guys smoking? I need to come over there and have some safety meetings with y'all. We're gonna call them tournament structural meetings, maybe GPP meetings or something title. Because why would you have like 3 different early slates with 2 games on one, 3 on the other? It's like, what the fuck are you thinking, man? Nobody wants to play that shit. Like, come on, man.
No, I'm with you, man. It's been disappointing for FanDuel. There's no doubt about that. I mean, combine the ones just like DraftKings, an 8-game early slate, not very, very early, then early only. I didn't even look at the prize pools, but I assume like 5K to first. Like they could compete, man. FanDuel was my OG back in the day. I know it's always been your OG. FanDuel's what I started on. Prize pools were huge. I mean, it was just like DraftKings. Pretty much gave up. Obviously, sports betting took over, but yeah, very little resources could be needed to make that product very big. But hey, we're working on Ship Nation over here. Shiptimizer, FanDuel, we can't control them. DraftKings, nice 8-game early slate. They do have both main slates, DraftKings and FanDuel, 6:35 Eastern today. A little earlier than normal. Set your alarm. Make sure you know that. We'll have our slate plan. Gyiraszin did early slates. He's doing the normal slate, projections, ownership. But the Shiptimizer, we're very excited. Go definitely watch the PGA show in the first like 25 minutes, 20 minutes from Tambo explaining everything. A lot of questions people had had. The breakdown, he showed it off a little bit as well. I'm not going to do that. It's going to be more condensed here. We'll talk 7 games MLB. But a lot of you guys are watching that are members. Yeah, people might not even know. A lot of people watch on playback here, so people might not even know the announcement. If you're already a monthly, 6-month, or annual member, or you're just MLB only, just PGA only, you're going to be able to try the optimizer for 30 days for free. Check it out. We don't want you, Hoop said it on the PGA show, cancel all your stuff right now and rely day one on the optimizer. There might be kicks, add-ons. You want to get comfortable with it. But 30 days, that trial, you'll have for free if you're a member. If you're not a member, no better time to get in. You'll get an optimizer and our content for the one price of just the content for the 30-day period. And then it will be charged, Hoop and Tambo hinted at it, less than $100 for an optimizer, for content, projections, ownership, a Discord community. You really can't beat that price in the industry. We don't want to change the price again. Go watch the video with Hoop, Tambo. They explain it even better. So exciting though over here. Content optimizer, always been the plan. We believe if you want to play at the highest level, a lot of people play 20 teams, 150, etc. You can't, unless your name's D something on the NFL Showdown. I don't know how I'm blanking this. And then Jerker back in the day. I don't know if he still does it. They hand build 150 teams. Props to you guys. Otherwise, so much more time efficient using an optimizer. Again, if you're just MLB only, you'll get the MLB optimizer for the 30-day trial. If you're just PGA only, for PGA. If you're all of them, you'll get all the sports 30 days from now. MMA, NASCAR. You can click optimize on the side, another add-on. Again, if you have stuff that you would like, let us know as well. Very excited over here. Again, if you want to use, actually, I didn't even pull up the promo code. If you want to use the promo code to get in, you're not a member, you want to get into the nation and tryouts, the optimizer, Millie15, 15% off. This expires in the week. Lock in the lowest prices because the price will not be this low for long. So check it out. Monthly, 6-month annual package. Millie15, 15% off. Very exciting news. Always like button, subscribe button helps us out a ton. And shout out to our MLB partnership for this show, 4D, shipitnation.com/4D. If you want to try Tommy G, Scarface, and the guys over there for betting, not just picks, education, process, etc. Promo code SHIPIT gets you 20% off. Plenty of sports to bet on right now. MLB, NBA playoffs, 2 games late tonight. PGA locks tomorrow. UFC 301 this week. NASCAR, a lot of money to be made. Let's try and get it started right here, Gyiraszin, on this main MLB slate. 7 games, 6:35 Eastern. Start with pitching. We are going to go DraftKings 8K and above. And I will say, I think pitching is, I think I'm more condensed on bats today than I am pitching. I think I'd rather spread out more at pitching because up top, you have the 2 Koreans, Yamamoto and Magana. 2 very, I probably definitely butchered that name. Magana, Yamamoto. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. 9.8K, 9.6K, and then Corbin Burns. All 3 have upside. The floor is pretty good in New York for Managa. Yamamoto at Arizona, that one's a little tougher to get to, in my opinion. Both of them, I think, relatively low owned. Burns the highest owned up top, but bats you do want to spend for on this slate are kind of expensive. The Astros, some of the Rangers. I think people, you know what, we're going to go all pitching. Screw 8K and above. Let's talk broad slate. Roddery Munoz down there against Colorado. Andrew Heaney all the way at 6K against Washington. Luis Gil against Baltimore at 7.8K. I think all of them get ownership. So it's not just, wow, Corbin Burns is in a tier of his own. I think there's enough pivots, enough cheap options with expensive bats. Play who you want at pitching is kind of how I see it today. And if you play anybody but those names I mentioned, maybe Cutter Crawford gets some ownership. But like I think Verlander's low owned, McKenzie's low owned, Butthole, like any cases for them, breakdown pitching, how you see it, all broad slate overview.
Hey, good job to you by saying Butto and not cracking up. I mean, it's just too funny sometimes. Hey, we're big kids. That's what we like to do. But anyway, yeah, I mean, pitching, I might be a little more condensed than you. I think I only would play like the top 4 that you originally mentioned. There's couple different risks here, like down below. But I mean, I think these guys Heaney's definitely viable, but the dude just walks too many guys. He's just too wild. He's crazy. Washington just really isn't a team you're looking to, attack for strikeouts. So Heaney is somebody that is a little sketchy. Munoz, I mean, that's up in the air there. I'd like to see a little bit more out of him. I was just looking to see, he did go 5 innings his start out, had 7 Ks against the Cubs. So, I mean, at that price, that might be something that we could look at there. McKenzie against Houston, I'm not really interested in. Now, Gill, he's got a pretty high strikeout rate, but I mean, this dude's either a strikeout or a fly ball. Now he's going against Baltimore, who last I checked, I think has the most homers in all of MLB. So, I mean, it's kind of like, man, to me, it's like, well, that's definitely a case. Like if you're going to play a Gill, I think you should definitely play another team and stack up Baltimore, because they could definitely get to him fairly easy. So, that one's a little scary. And then you got Butto against the Cubs. He's just kind of similar. He's a fly ball pitcher too. So he's kind of scary against the Cubs. I'm not really sure. I'm there. Cutter Crawford has a pretty good matchup. I don't mind him at all against San Francisco. He's, fairly cheap, 8,600. Verlander, man, he just scares me, just being as old as he is. Everything's just kind of been falling down. His strikeout percentage, everything's been down, obviously, as he's getting a little bit older. But I just fear that he's not really I think his ceiling is like getting 6 innings anymore. Like, I can't see him getting really too deep into games. Like I just worry about Verlander. He doesn't have the put away strikeout stuff he used to. Now Burns, I think, is a pretty good matchup, obviously, as the Yankees. That one's interesting. Best pitcher probably as far as the slate goes. You get a little discount off him, off the 2 Koreans, as you mentioned. Yamamoto, I think they're both interesting. Amanga at the top at 9,800. I think I'd probably prefer him. I think he'd actually be my favorite. And then I think I'd go to Burns at 2. And then I think I'd go to Yamamoto 3. And then I think I'd go Cutter Crawford 4, I think is where I'd look. And as I mentioned, if you want to take a shot at either like a Munoz, a Butto, you could, a Gill, you could, Heaney, you could. I just think that's a scenario where that might only work out for you in general, like 1 out of 3 times. So, I mean, it may work out for you. It could work out fairly well. I think they all have some potential, a little bit of upside, but man, just the risk on the other side of that, I think overweighs what they're giving me. So I think there's some other spots that I'd stay to. So as I mentioned, I think those top 4 for me are the guys I'd be looking at.
Yeah, good breakdown. I think Yamamoto is the odd man out for me. I don't love picking on Arizona. 9.6K. You look at the K prop, not good. 5.5 juice on the under. I mean, looking at a lot of these K props and looking at ownership, like Yamamoto is the odd man out up top. I don't want Justin Verlander for a lot of the same reasons you said. He's more of like a floor play. Yeah, 18 I guess could be enough. I don't want Montgomery. I like Cutter Crawford. I mean, it's cold in Boston again, and it's actually warm in Baltimore. I'm seeing like 80 degrees in Baltimore. Obviously, they moved the fence back. If this was old Camden, you're probably looking at like a 10 total. No, not 10 with Corbin on the mound. 9.5 though. With the old Camden, like way better pitching weather, 50 degrees compared to Baltimore's 80 degrees. Cutter Crawford, 5.5 K prop, -115 on the over. I think he gets squeezed a bit. I think Gill's more popular. Munoz is more popular. I do like Munoz. I know Squid's saying, how do you not lock him? You don't lock him because maybe 14 is not enough, and Corbin Burns gets you 25 plus. Maybe someone else gets you 25 plus, and there's enough cheap bats on the slate. I think that's why you don't get there. But I like Munoz more than Heaney. Like you play Heaney, he's just so up and down. You play him for the Ks. I trust K props a good bit, 4.5 and decent juice on the under, -150. I mean, man, if he needs like 7 Ks at this price, probably he doesn't need 7 Ks. But when he does get there, it is from the strikeouts. The pitch count can get up there in a hurry. I'd rather Munoz against this bad Rockies team for 500 more for sure. I think Butto's interesting too. I like pitchers in New York, 60 degrees. I think he gets squeezed a little bit in between the Burns of the world, the Gills of the world. Cutter will probably be more high owned than Butto as well. I like Cutter and Butto in that mid 8K range. I like Corbin Burns the most up top. He feels the safest. He will be the highest owned, but I don't think it's 50% plus on a slate like this. If so, I don't think I'd like that. I don't know. I'm speaking out loud. Anything Butto, You mentioned Crawford a little bit. Any final thoughts? Pitcher, Munoz against Heaney, etc.
I mean, you could build a pretty healthy team if you want to look at Crawford and Munoz. I mean, you pretty much could, stack up what you like today if you wanted to go that route. But then again, if Burns throws up, big 20, spotter, you might be in some trouble, if that's the case. Generally, we haven't seen much of that this year to where a pitcher has been like the guy you had to have. Like in, past years, I mean, you had to start there every day because, some of these guys would throw up huge numbers. And we really haven't even been seeing that. It just seems like there's too many more specialty relievers at the back ends. Like to me, I'm just looking at a guy to get me 6 innings and get me 6-7 Ks. And if I can find somebody like a Munoz, who I think has a really good chance of doing that, and plus, I was just checking to see he's a minus 154 favorite. Heaney's a minus 188, Verlander's a minus 174. So other than Heaney, I mean, Munoz is probably the cheapest favorite pitcher here today, favorite as in the betting line. So, I mean, I think Munoz is definitely a little bit more interesting than, than originally when I, was looking here earlier. So, I mean, we like the attack. It checks a lot of the boxes, right? I mean, we like the attack. Colorado, we know they suck. Yeah, I think he can get 6 innings. He was pretty close to that, or did get that last time, if I remember right off the top of my head. But yeah, he had what, 7 Ks, 5 innings. Okay. So yeah, I remember he did give up 7 hits, but hey, this Colorado man, they stink, right?
Yeah,
so if he don't give up the hits, he keeps his walks in check here. I think this guy definitely could be in line for a win. So definitely like me some Munoz at that price. I mean, 6,500. If I think I can get 5 innings, 5-6 Ks out of him and get a win, he's a favorite. I mean, you pretty much got to consider that, especially, the way it's been going. But yeah, I think pitching will be spread out a little bit. I think these low end, there's a few low end options. I think, you're going high end pitching. You got 98, 9,600 over there on DK. So Burns is 9,400. So, I mean, you could reasonably still build a pretty decent team if you wanted to go high end pitching today. So, but I do like Cutter, Crawford, and Munoz. I think those guys stand out, but Burns is the SP1 on this slate, and I think he will be the most popular.
Yeah, I will say that, like I mentioned previously, I think there's plenty of viable pitchers, like 6 of them. It's a good 7-game slate. Like ownership's going to be a lot more spread out, especially at pitching than usual. FanDuel, there's plenty of options too. Bats, I think it's Texas and Houston that it's more condensed, especially Texas, but probably both of them. Yeah, that's kind of how I'm seeing it. So my pitching pool in 20 entry max would be larger than my hitting, which isn't always the case. Munoz, Cutter, Red Sox, Prince. There you go. You got Squids takes right there. Let's go Braves. We appreciate you, Devin. Like button always appreciated. Tyrone Taylor leading off. I do not like that game. I definitely like my boy Tyrone Taylor, though. Let's talk some bats. Again, like button, subscribe button helps us out a ton. What's funny now?
I was just reading a little bit. I just checked the weather real quick, and somebody had to make a smart ass comment about some bees being over there at Arizona and the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I was looking at that last night. I checked my phone. I'm like, delay? What the hell they got a delay for? It's not raining. And then I saw that they were trying to get some bees out of there. I was thinking, oh, hell no. If I was back there, I'd been running like a girl with my beer. Hoping, I'd been like, I'm out of here. So, but yeah, that's what I was giggling at.
Yeah, they, I didn't see that. So I lost. Oh, killer bees. I think there were killer bees in Arizona. I told the wife about it, and then she goes, she wasn't surprised at all because we do live now down here. And she goes, yeah, they're in the suit, they're getting out there, and they definitely are not going to do anything until that's taken care of.
Crazy fools, man. What a job. Like, I watched that Swamp People show, those dudes that get them alligator. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? Like, yeah. No, hell no. I'll keep my suburban ass in my house. Like, hell no.
Me too. I'll be there in a couple weeks. The day game with some buddies, but I do not go to many games at all. That'll be actually my first time at D-Back Stadium. All right, let's talk. Jordan Montgomery is going to be pitching today, though. Was supposed to pitch yesterday, got scratched. So we will get to that game later. We're going to talk first game of the night, though. Again, 6:35 Eastern, earlier than usual. Make sure to remember New York Yankees, Baltimore
Set your
Orioles.
alarm.
Set your alarm. Yankees, Orioles, Luis Gil, Corbin Burns on the mound. 8.5 total. Again, good hitting weather in Baltimore, 83 degrees. I say right from the get-go, I have interest on both sides of bats because I think both pitchers garner ownership, and it's good hitting weather. This Baltimore team, man, they hit the baseball. Plenty of names you want to play. Now there's expensive bats, the Gunnar Hendersons of the world, Adley 5.4, Mountcastle 4.8. Should have enough cheap bats though, like Urias if he's down there, Cedric Mullins 4.5, O'Hearn 4.4. So I guess not too cheap, but there's plenty of cheap pitchers we mentioned on the slate. Munoz, the Cutter Crawfords. You can get Orioles. Gill's going to get some ownership. And Corbin Burns, it's not the same Corbin Burns from a couple of years ago. The stuff isn't quite like that. This Yankees team, Soto, Judge, Stanton, I mean, you know they got the bats to do it. Guaranteed ninth inning at bat. You get leverage off of the chalkiest pitcher more than likely. I can talk myself into both sides of this game at very low ownership on a 7-game slate. Now, will I get there? I'm not sure. So you talk to me about that.
Yeah, I can't. There's no way that I could go Yankees here. I mean, I could see, the extreme leverage you're going to get if you wanted to go against Corbin Burns, because I do think he'll be the highest owned pitcher. I think he'd be better off maybe pick off some of the power bats here or there, maybe a one-off here or there if you wanted to go there. Soto, he's got a 4.19 WOBA against righties. Judge actually has been hitting the ball pretty good as well against righties. But, yeah, I mean, I'm just not going to pick on Corbin Burns. Now, I do have some interest in these Baltimore bats. As I mentioned, Gill's such an extreme fly ball pitcher. He does strike out a lot of dudes. He's seriously a strikeout or a fly out. I mean, it's one of them. And now here, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to be going against a team with, most homers in the MLB, all kinds of power up and down this lineup. So I think Gill is going to get some ownership tonight and pitching. So I do like these Orioles here. I don't think they're, ranked in the maybe top 2 or 3 stack, but I think, maybe I could sneak them in there and call them maybe a sneakier stack if you want to. The weather's great, as you mentioned. I definitely like these Baltimore bats. I mean, they don't have too much strikeouts. Cowser's got a 30% K rate against the righties, and then Kjerstad down there at the bottom. But I mean, you're looking at guys here with 381 WOBA. Rushman's pretty good. O'Hearn 359. Cowser, Westbrook. I mean, he's going to have his work cut out for him here. And I think the Baltimore bats are definitely interesting. I think I would more full stack Baltimore than mini stack, and I think I would just go full out, balls to the wall, all 5 with Baltimore, especially on DK. So, I think Baltimore is in line for a full stack, but not my favorite.
I agree. Baltimore definitely. I think you can mini 5-man, one-off. I like Baltimore. The Yankees a little harder, but what did we talk about yesterday? The chalk pitcher. Not Luis Castillo, Freddie Peralta. Like, I think it's way more viable to stack against Corbin Burns today with the Yankees than it was the Rays with Freddie yesterday. 12 games compared to 7 games. The nature of the other bats on this slate, a lot of high team totals, not necessarily the case on this slate. So, yeah, people sometimes always looking to stack against the highest owned. I don't think it's crazy today, especially the bats to play. Soto, Judge, Rizzo, lefties preferably, but yeah, more mini stacks Yankees, full 5-man, anything Baltimore. One of my favorites on the slate at ownership for sure. Let's get next game. Rockies, Marlins, Dakota Hudson, Roddery Munoz on the mound, 9 total. You mentioned it yesterday that you said these Marlins might be the only time we play them all year. We got them right. This might be the second time, Gyiraszin. I like these Marlins. Dakota Hudson is cheeks. I mean, Marlins will get some ownership, maybe, but they can't get too much. Right in the heart of the order, Jazz, Sanchez, Josh Bell, Cruz. Give me the big bats. You can play, I think, 1 through 9, though. Ownership somewhat in check. They're going to get some ownership, but I think below Houston. I think below Texas, probably below the Dodgers. Yeah, I like a couple of games to start off the night. Just Colorado is not good. I'll let you talk about Colorado. I also don't even think that's the craziest play. Talking literally direct leverage off another chalky pitcher, and it has a lot of unknowns as well. It's gross to click Colorado, but yeah, I like it more than the Yankees, I guess. So I'll say that. I like Rockies more than the Yankees, and you're playing it for the same type of reason. Take it away.
Yeah, but The Yankees obviously are way better offense than Colorado. So
Burns is a little better than Munoz, though, I think.
That's true too, but still you got to have the horses to get you across the finish line. And I don't know if these Colorado are going to get it there. But
was that a little Kentucky Derby? Isn't that this weekend or next weekend? Was that a little?
It is. Yeah, you see that? Hey, I get excited. I get to go to the track and lay down some benches.
You always.
I don't even know what the hell these dudes were until a week ago, but it's still fun. You get in there and mix it up. I love the smell of that place. It smells like rotten beer and old men, stinky old men. It's like, man, that fucking place stinks in here. And horses, it's like we got like the racing with the carriage on the back, whatever you call that. They call it something. Harness racing. There you go. There we go. But we got one of them not too far. So the only time everybody goes there is when there's a big race.
There you go.
But so I mean, going back to this game here, Dakota Hudson is absolutely cheeks. I'll tell you, my favorite one-off today is Jazz Chisholm. I mean, this guy here, I think he's in a great spot. That's a guy I'd be looking at, roster in here today, any kind of one-offs. But I think Jazz in a good spot here. I like the top part, Brian De La Cruz, Josh Bell. Even if you want to go there, he's fairly cheap. I'm not interested in playing really the bottom half of this Miami lineup, which kind of makes it tough to stack them up. But I do like the mini stack here of Miami more so in the full stack, because this bottom half of this lineup is just cheeks, stinks. I mean, I don't care if it's Dakota Hudson or not. They're really not that good. It's hard to stack them, but the top five, you can make a case for, but Jazz stands out for me. He'd be my top play in this one.
So Tim Anderson just got scratched. We do have the lineup out. I mean, they're throwing a bit of lefties at him.
Like Tim Anderson is terrible. He's just terrible.
Nick Gordon went up to the 6 hole. Betancourt's still in the 9. Rivera went up 1. Brujan is now at shortstop, so he took Tim Anderson's spot in the 9 hole. I like some of these Marlins for sure. Again, at ownership, I think there's only so many hitting options I like. I'll be saying no to a good amount of them. And I like Rangers, Astros, Dodgers, but I think all of them are more popular. I think that's the 3 most popular on the slate. So trying to find other 2 that aren't, I found 2 kind of my favorites. And I think the other side, if you just want to game stack it or something, you get direct leverage off of unproven Rodrigo Munoz. It's mainly just Rocky suck at his price tag and what bats it gets you. And then Corbin Burns is Corbin Burns, but these Yankees in good hitting weather. Let's keep it rolling. Next game, Chariot Race. Is that what it's called? Not harness race?
No, it's harness racing. It says it on the sign. I've seen it. Maybe that's what I think it says. I'm usually freaking trash when I leave there.
San Francisco Giants, Boston Red Sox, 50 degrees. What, they're going to go the Giants bullpen? Or I thought I'm seeing – what are the Giants rolling out here? Give me a second.
Eric Miller.
That's got to be just like an opener and then a bullpen game. I thought, this Jeffries dude, Dalton Jeffries, I think is going to get a couple innings out of the pen after Eric Miller opens, I believe. But yeah, bullpen mainly for the Giants. Cutter Crawford on the mound. For Boston, I like Cutter Crawford. I'm not going to get to these Giants. 8.5 total, only 50 degrees though. I'll throw it to you on Boston though. Don't love picking up bullpen games as much, but I'm not very familiar with this Dalton Jeffries cat. I don't know. I guess Boston maybe not crazy. 4.5 team total, pretty low ownership. Seems like it checks those boxes. If you want to go Corbin Burns, Munoz or something, a Red Sox you can eat chalk pitching with. That's kind of just how I see it. I don't know much about this Giants dude.
Yeah, the Red Sox lineup is just so crappy, right? I mean, Devers, you might want to look at maybe him. You could use as a one-off Ref Schneider, maybe O'Neill. I mean, really the top 4 are really the only guys that you really even want to play, considering, the bottom half of that lineup is just full of all kinds of strikeouts. But they are definitely a matchup game here for San Francisco. They're going to be playing the matchups. But, it's cold, as you mentioned. I'm not a fan of any of the bats here, but I could definitely see, if you wanted to use a one-off like Devers, something like that. But, going back, he's not like in the top of my one-off guys. But, I definitely think if you wanted to go there, it's just shitty hitting weather. It's just nothing really we want to look at today.
Yep, I think Cutter Crawford or avoid the game mainly. But Red Sox have very low ownership compared to Vegas. I don't think it's crazy. Cubs, Mets, 60 degrees, a little over 60. Shoto Imanaga, Jose Butto on the mound, 7.5 total. I think we're on the same page here, Gyiraszin. I'm Xing this game, and I feel good about it.
Yeah, I mean, the only side you might want to attack is, you might want to go try to attack Butthole. Attacking Butthole can get a little bit fuzzy sometimes, get a little hairy. But, when but
he had to laugh at his own joke.
he's a fly ball pitcher, so I mean he doesn't have as much strikeout capability as Gil, but he's basically the same kind of guy almost, like heavy fly ball guy. But if you wanted to, go after him, I wouldn't blame you. But as you mentioned, it's just got a low over under. We got the Cubbies there. I'm gonna really pass. But like I said, if you want to attack Butto, you could go after it, but a little too fuzzy.
A little too fuzzy from the man Gyiraszin. 3 games left on the slate. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Like button, subscribe button helps us out a ton. If you want to join us at the Nation, again, huge news. You already probably heard me say it in the beginning. If you haven't checked out the PGA show, definitely watch at least the beginning. Hoop and Tambo answering some questions about the launch of the Shiptimizer. If you're already a member, monthly, 6-month annual package, or PGA only, MLB only, you'll get a 30-day free trial. Definitely make sure to check it out. Mess with the settings, mess with the optimizer, get to know it. After 30 days, it will become paid, but it'll be the lowest in the industry. Under $100 is what we're shooting for. We will be able to make it work. Can't find content, optimizer, everything in the game for less than $100. Very excited for that. Again, if you're not a member, no better time to get in. Then you can try out the optimizer as well with the membership. Monthly, 6-month, annual, $42 a month it comes out to with the optimizer on top for the first, again, 30 days for free. That's over $100. A lot of other places like $200 for a $42 value to check it out. Obviously, you already are locking into annual. We're not going anywhere though. 2 weeks from now is the 1-year anniversary. So much was added. I wasn't here for the anniversary. Gyiraszin
we came together. Didn't we come as a package deal?
Yeah, we came right together, Gyiraszin and I. Exact same package deal. But they added so much. MMA, NASCAR, college football, D-Gen merger is absolutely huge. Discord is blown up. It is so cool to see everything Hoop Tambo, the team has done from the beginning. Going to continue to add on. Price is going to stay as low as we can make it, the cheapest in the industry. That's what we said from the beginning. They said from the beginning, and we do stick to our word. We do have morals. We got Tambo, Hoop. Definitely go check that out. If you want to join us, Millie 15% off. 3 games left, Gyiraszin. Washington Nationals, Texas Rangers, Trevor Williams, Andrew Heaney. Ooh, hold on.
What'd you do? You clicked the, yeah. There you go.
And too much going on, Gyiraszin. Too much going on. Nats, Rangers, Trevor Williams, Andrew Heaney on the mound. 9 total. Rangers are going to be popular. So I'll let you talk about them, your favorite bats. As far as the Nats side, I guess it depends on what ownership you think Heaney gets. Like if he's going to be top 3, top 4 owned pitcher, he gets to 20%. I would like the Nats. Now you can always play Abrams at 1% owned. So I do like the lefty, even against Heaney and Abrams. I don't know. The more I talk about it, though, I'd rather even play the Rockies against Munoz than I would the Nats against Rangers. So probably just an X on that side.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of the Nats here against Heaney here. I mean, Heaney, like I said, he just walks too many guys for me, really. I mean, he does have the strikeout capability. Washington, though, this isn't a team you really want to chase generally for strikeouts. But, this Texas team, I mean, Trevor Williams and his 13% strikeout rate against lefties isn't going to get him very far, especially against this Texas team that, as we know, is loaded with left-handed power with Seager, Lowe, Carter. We got Smith. I mean, Heim down there at the bottom. So, man, other than, Garcia and Semien from the right side, he's going to see all kinds of lefties here that can get to him. So, I mean, big favorite here. I think, we got a game total of 9. I mean, I think it's a great spot here. I think they are going to be pretty popular. But I think here today with a 7-game slate, if you want to get a little different, don't be afraid to do a little wraparound or include a bottom half couple guys here in this lineup. I think you'll see them not as heavily owned. Semien might not even be as highly owned either just because he's a righty. I think the lefties, Seager is going to be really high owned. So just make sure if you're stacking them, you're full stacking, don't be afraid to leave, put one of these guys here at the bottom in there. And one of these guys goes off for you. That's where, you're going to get ahead of everybody else. But I think Texas is full stack here. I think they're probably the top stack, probably the most popular stack, but like me some Rangers here today.
Yeah, and I like what you said. Like, you can leave off Corey Seager and Texas stacks. It doesn't feel good, but what did the Stros just put up yesterday? 8 or something with Jordan putting up 0? Like, it's baseball. That's all we need to say. It's baseball. Any random thing can cap. Buxton, he gets hurt after what? He gets a single or something?
Well, what a jerk. Would he trip over first?
Who knows? But that's what I'm saying. Just like anything can happen. It's hard to succeed in baseball. 3 out of 10, you're Hall of Famer. Seager, Lowe, Carter, a lot of these lefties going to get more ownership. Again, I do think Semien is still going to get some. Bottom of the order, always cheaper. Think about how you use Texas. Just play Cutter Crawford. Cutter's going to get some. If you don't play Corbin, you don't play Munoz, you go Yamamoto or someone else, like you can play Texas. Just think of how you play it, is what I say. Don't like Nats, though. Next game, Guardians, Stros, Tristan McKenzie, Justin Verlander on the mound. 9 total. McKenzie has been bad. Astros definitely going to get some ownership, too. Jordan, Tucker. You mentioned Bregman. He finally got one yesterday, Gyiraszin. Guardians, I don't like Verlander. I still don't love these Guardians on a slate like this, like some of those lower-owned teams I mentioned. Happy birthday, Greggs, if it is your birthday as well. Always see you in here. Appreciate the support. Hope you have a great day, man. Break it down.
I'll tell you. First of all, I got to say, as I've said many times before, I always go back and look at my past contests, look at the couple top teams. The fucking Indians were on the top of teams. I was like, it's only going to happen like a few times this year, and it happened.
I will
yesterday.
say,
and you called it. You said it. And I teased you. I said it.
You
You can't play them fucking guys. They don't hit home runs. Why would you play a team that
we
never
say a lot? I'm not going to take credit for nothing because we say a lot of teams, and I've tried to go back on making a stand on just 1 or 2 teams in a show, and everyone write it because at the end of the day, I can't see the future either. It's more ownership in that. I mention it, but I'm not going to take that much credit because we say, what about all the credit we get for stuff we're wrong? So I don't want to say that.
I get it. Now, I will say, though, I did say if I was going to play a one-off, Naylor would have been my favorite. And he hit a 3-run homer in the first inning. And I was like, oh, well, okay. That worked out. But, yeah, I mean, they got me there. Like, that shit ain't going to happen too often. And it was a 12-game slate. I would have never guessed that, man. The odds, probably, like, if you were looking at, like, the odds, like, on the card, like, what they would have
won. I bet you the odds were higher than their stack ownership came in at. Which is that matter? Because they were 1%. Like they were.
You're right.
Yep.
So it's like, but still, man, I can't do it, man. It's just one of them teams. They're on my, do not fly zone. But Houston, I think, is in a pretty good spot. McKenzie's a guy that can get beat up. He has a really low K rate to lefties. Alvarez and Tucker, man, these guys are just got to be licking their chops here today. So I think pretty good matchup for him. He's got a really high fly ball rate to lefties as well. He's up in the 46% range, 53% hard hit range. Man, Alvarez and Tucker are looking really good here. Those are my 2 favorite bats here in this game here today. So I think Houston, Texas, they're all up there at the top. But I think Houston's in a good spot here. McKenzie, I mean, he's a decent, serviceable pitcher, but if you get after him with some lefty power, that's how you get to him. And Houston's definitely got that in the bag.
Yep, no doubt about that. We got 1 game left. If you had to pick Texas or Houston, who would you pick?
I would probably take Texas.
I'll go Houston.
Just because I think McKenzie's a little bit better. So that's the only reason.
For sure. Last game on the slate, Dodgers, D-backs, 9:40 Eastern. Yoshinobu Yamamoto taking on Jordan Montgomery. As long as there's no killer bees back there, Montgomery should get it to the bump today. 9 total. Dodgers, decent-sized favorites. The thing is, I don't like the Dodgers. I like the Dodgers, but I don't like the Dodgers in the fact of if people play the Dodgers, it's going to be mainly Mookie, mainly Will Smith against the lefty, like Freddie Freeman, lefty, Ohtani, lefty. If Muncy even gets in the lineup, people just don't like to spend the premium to play lefty much, which is kind of why I don't like it, but I do because if you want to get really low owned Dodgers, it's one of the highest team totals on the slate. you can just mix in those in those lefties. Ohtani can hit a lefty. Freddie can hit a lefty. Do prefer them over Muncy. There is enough cheap pitching on the slate where you don't feel like your team's dead, especially if you like Heaney. Like you could go Heaney, Munoz, get all the Dodgers. Then if I play an Ohtani, a Freddie, I'd be more willing to eat Will Smith chalk, Mookie chalk. I guess I just don't like them as much as one-offs. Thinking just ownership combination, stuff like that. I like Houston and Texas, though, more in a vacuum for sure than the Dodgers. So if I had to leave a top 3 team off, it's them. But I do think their ownership is going to be the 3rd highest behind Texas and Houston. So I guess do with all that information as you will. I like the bottom of the order. Pages is in there. Kiki Hernandez. There's pinch hit risk, but in the 5-man stack, hope the Dodgers jump out early, similar to when Rio got his live final seats, and you get it that way. So D-back side, Yamamoto I don't think is going to get enough ownership to get to the D-backs. I'd prefer getting all the leverage or more leverage with the Rockies, I guess, maybe Yankees, etc. So not much D-backs. What do you got in this one?
Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers are starting to just bite me in the ass all the time. You stack them up, and they haven't really done anything for me, at least. I mean, as you mentioned, Scarface won that one day, and actually that stack he won without Mookie. I mean, like, to me, that's like a crime. If you stack in the Dodgers, you got to have Mookie. I mean, shit, that's like the best guy in the damn baseball. Like, how do you not have Mookie on your damn
Because that's what everyone does, so that's how you
I get it. Hey, I get it. Then I get it. It's DFS. I get it. But to me, it's like, no. I start with Mookie because Mookie's my favorite.
All the safety meetings, every time you get super chopped, you think about it, it's like, how do you play this team but not them? Trust me, we all get it. Like, wow, I didn't play Giannis today or something. I played Drew Holiday. Like, that's why Gyiraszin, because the brains think different on some substance, right?
Absolutely they do. But, I mean, it depends what time of the day is, too, is how my thinking works. So,
fair.
So, but,
there you go. Exactly. Yeah.
It's like stacking. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So, but hey, I mean, the Dodgers, as you mentioned, though, like, when the Dodgers are chalk, as you mentioned, like the bottom half of the lineup, Taylor, Kiki, pinch hit risk, Outman, pinch hit risk. Nobody likes playing Barnes. Nobody likes playing Rojas at the bottom. So really it's like the top 6 dudes are really the only guys we're looking at down to Muncy, basically, that's really safe. I mean, those are the guys, but I mean, these Wobas here, especially Freddie Freeman's got a 4-1 Woba against lefties. I mean, that's pretty good. That's probably in the top. I'd say almost probably tops. I haven't matched it, but it'd be hard to find somebody else. I mean, Shohei's 364, Mookie's 455. Them are like video game numbers. And Jordan Montgomery is nothing special. He's not anything that, you're really going to be concerned about. Does give up a lot of hard hits. So doesn't have much as far as swing and miss stuff. So he's not going to be missing any bats. So we don't have to really worry about that. But as you mentioned, like, don't be afraid to throw Freddie Freeman in your stack today, because everybody's going to have Mookie and Will Smith and, probably Teoscar, and then somebody's going to want a cheap one. So they're probably throwing Kike. Kike, do you love me? I mean, every time you click Kike's name, you got to sing that song. And I'm sorry if I put that in your head, because somebody did it to me, and that's just the way it works. You got to suffer too. But so like me, some Dodgers here tonight. I'm not going to be really looking at attacking Yamamoto here. He's been pretty good so far, but I think the Dodgers are in play. But as you mentioned, I think you got to look at make sure you're throwing a lefty. So, but hey, the Dodgers haven't been paying off the full stacks. I'll just tell you, they really haven't. They haven't been throwing up too many crooked numbers. So something to think about.
Dodgers. So you're with me. You like so you rank it Texas, Houston, Dodgers.
Yeah, I'd say Texas, Houston, Dodgers, but you know what? I think maybe the Orioles would be in there for me too.
Well, I meant more so those last 3 chalky. I'm with you. Like I
think Dodgers are chalky today, but I think I'd have the Orioles a little ahead of them, because I think the Orioles could be pretty sneaky today. Could hit some bombs today off Gil. But I think the 2 Texas teams, Texas and Houston, are definitely up there at the top. I think they're going to probably get most of the ownership here today. But I think Baltimore for me is the team that I'm going to be looking at. I think that's my sneaker.
I like O's. I like Marlins. Yeah, and then Houston, Texas, all more than the Dodgers as well. So Again, check out Gyiraszin slate plan, his favorite one-offs, the slate breakdown down below. I read it this morning, Gyiraszin. I had a nice laugh as well. FanDuel, come on, man. What you doing over there?
Like, come on, man.
Come on, man. Core reports. Again, projections, ownership, the Shiptimizer. So excited for the launch for that. Go back in the beginning if you want to hear about it. If you want to really hear about some questions, Tambo Hoop went in depth, talk 20, 25 minutes on the Shiptimizer that we launched today. If you're already a member, monthly, 6-month, annual, or MLB only, PGA only, you will have access for free for 30 days. If you're not a member, no better time. Get in. Use that promo code MILLY15. You will get to try it for 30 days. Then it will be charged, but it's going to be as cheap in the industry as possible, cheaper than everybody else, by a wide margin, everything, content, optimizers, $100 or less. The pricing will eventually come out in 30 days. MMA will be added. NASCAR will be added. Other features like the click and optimize button, that'll be there on the right side as well. Very exciting times. Millie 15% off. Like button, subscribe button on the way out. Helps us out a ton. Remember, lock is earlier today, 6:35 Eastern, 7 games, no weather, 2 NBA games. Check out Rio's content, slate plan, core report, the showdown content that is big prize pools, NASCAR, PGA locks tomorrow, MMA. Let's make some money. Good stuff as always, Gyiraszin. Enjoy the beautiful Michigan weather, safety meeting, and some high noons for Gyiraszin on Titletown. Peace. Good luck.